I started with orthorexia, which was an obsession with being as healthy as possible. So I was trying to eat really clean, follow the 80-20 rule, and I created all of these really arbitrary food rules for myself, right? Like zoodles and cauliflower rice were my carbs, and it was miserable. And I knew that my life was meant to be so much more abundant and free than that. And so my healing process is what then led to this business and what I'm able to do on a daily basis, helping women by combining the science from nutrition, psychology, and neuroscience with spirituality. And that's really where we get into the self-love and activating your intuition on that soul deep level. That's also where we can release the control and learn how to trust ourselves and trust the universe.
Well, Sloane, I mean, clearly you have insight and passion for what you're doing. I have to commend you on your dedication. Joining us now in the conversation is parenting and resiliency expert, family physician, Dr. Deborah Gilboa. Welcome back to the show, Dr. G. So tell us, have you noticed this rise in eating disorders in your practice over the pandemic?
I have noticed this. I've noticed not only that my patients with diagnosed eating disorders before the pandemic have had more of a struggle with their symptoms flaring. I've noticed also we're seeing a lot of new diagnoses of eating disorders. And that's not just anecdotally for me. The National Hotline for Eating Disorders noticed a 40% increase in hotline calls from 2019, up 40% in 2020. We expect to see another jump when they tally for 2021.
And what could be the potential cause of this rise? Obviously the pandemic, so many things going on. What do you feel are the major things that have contributed to this?
Well, for sure we know, you've seen all mental illness has gotten exacerbated by the pandemic. But this particular issue, eating disorders, not only was it worsened by isolation like the others might have been, there are a couple of other issues. People were less able to be physically active, so they might have thought, okay, I'm keeping a balance of my eating and my exercise, and then they were less able to exercise, had more time for disordered thoughts, maybe less access to some of the fresher foods or shopping more often that they were used to having. And with some of the social interactions with people who know them well and would check in, hey, how you doing? You seem a little bit more in your head, or I see that you're not eating as much, things like that. But then there's this other issue. We've noticed that people with eating disorders are less well served by telehealth than they are by in-person. Not that it doesn't do some good, it does, but a lot of the ways that we check in on people with eating disorders turns out to be more effective in person. And then there's this huge issue, which is that for many people with eating disorders, they end up after some therapy talking about how it isn't about food, it is about control. And as a society, we have maybe never felt so out of control in this generation as we have in the last year and a half. So having everything else out of control made more people focus on the few things they still could control, like their intake.